Hello, my name is Andrea Chavez, and this is my presentation for Assignment 3 for Metadata Mini Project for Info 281. Today I will be discussing special items using the cataloging format of MARC. This presentation will discuss the cataloging format MARC and how it is used for special items. So let's start our conversation by beginning with MARC. What is MARC? MARC stands for Machine Readable Cataloging. MARC is common in libraries, and they use this format to organize data and label their items in their collection. It is a standard that is widely used and has been around since the 1970s, although has seen many changes and updates. However, newer cataloging standards such as BibFrame are now being used and can possibly replace older MARC standards. In the early times of cataloging, the information used would be written or typed on small cards and placed in a file organizer so that the information could be found easily. Eventually, this was digitized, and most card catalogs are now available online for staff and the public. Although there are many new formats to create, store, and share this information, for this discussion we will focus on MARC because it is still being used and can be a good basis for anyone learning about cataloging and metadata. So, how is MARC used in libraries? A cataloger at a library will obtain an item and then enter all pertinent information on that item. For instance, if a book such as Harry Potter is ready to be entered into the system, the cataloger will use the cataloging system and place and enter things like title, author, year of publication, publisher, keywords, subjects, and more, if they choose to do so. Once this information is added, it is then available for the public to view through the online catalog or the OPAC. This information can also be shared with other libraries so that these records don't have to be created over and over. They can be shared and loaded into systems because they are created with the same standards. While this method is commonly used for books, audiobooks, DVDs, and other items that are usually found in a library, it can also be used for special and non-traditional items for libraries and also museums. Here we can see how the information is added into a system. Let's start with a basic MARC record that is used for a library using the Harry Potter book previously discussed. There are some fields that a cataloger uses when entering MARC data and others that are set and used for specific areas for the item. For example, the top fields like 001 and 003 were auto-entered by the system and will not need to be changed. The cataloger will enter information in various areas such as field 100, which is used for author, 245 is for title, 264 is for the publisher name and year published, etc. on the fields. There are some rules and things to keep in mind for some of these fields that catalogers must learn to use this system. But this is a basic overview of how this information is entered in MARC format. So why enter this metadata? What happens to it when you enter? When a library enters the information for an item, it shows up to the public on the online card catalog. Here on the right is an example of this record in public view. You see all the relevant information that was entered, such as title, author, subjects, and so on. You also see the two items that the library has. They are both checked out at this time. So in the public view, you can also see the status of each item attached to the record for Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Each field that was entered on the library system works with the software to determine how it will be viewed on the public side of things with an easier way to read rather than, say, a 100 field. Instead, you see the field as author, which makes more sense for the public to read it this way. This is a basic overview of how books and other items can be added to a library system. So what about special items? They can also be cataloged using this system and also available for the public to see through the OPAC or the online public access catalog. MARC cataloging can be used to organize and input non-traditional items in a special collection. This can be for a library, museum, or a personal collection if you have access to the right software. Many libraries and museums have special items that can be cataloged through MARC so they can be added into their system. This can be used to be available to the public or can be only to staff depending on how you set this up. Here is an example of some items that can be in a special collection. First, we have an old book or a manuscript. We have art sculptures, as well as other art pieces. This can also include many different types of items and are not limited to these examples. For this presentation, we will focus on a collection of items that were donated by a member of the community. These will have the same author and creator and will be housed in the same collection space within the library. We will go through examples of the items in this collection and what the records will look like. First, here is the template that is used for this record that was created by hand for this presentation. A few things to know about the template. This is a basic record, and there can be many more fields added, but won't be used for this example. There are also many fields that are repeatable, and some will include a lot of information, while others will not. For these records, we will also input a lot of information into the local fields. For this collection, we are using the 100 field for name, creator, author, and 245 as the title of the objects within this collection. Most records will start at the 245 field with the title and the name. Then the 264 if the information is available. 300 would be a physical description as in before. The 490 is here as a series note if necessary. We can note if an item is within the same series or collection within the library. 500 is a note field, and we have subjects in 600 or 650. 600 can be a personal name, 650 can be other subjects. These fields can get more complicated and detailed, but we will only be providing basic information here for these records for this example. Also, not every record will use all fields, and they will be deleted if they are not used. For these records, we will be using the cataloging format of MARC. The format will be objects, and the environment will be in libraries with a special collection or in a museum. Before we jump into the 10 items and records in this collection, I wanted to share an example of a non-related record and OPAC view of a non-traditional item. This is for a collection of things donated like photos, letters, and an oral history video that were taken for this special collection. This collection contains a lot of items, but this is just for an example for this method. Certain areas of this record could be disabled from public view, but the record on the right is what the public sees right now. This record is for items that are non-circulating, so there aren't any hold or checkouts, and patrons won't be able to place a hold or remove from the special collections library, only to view within the building. In this example, we have a lot of 500 fields and a lot of 600 fields. In the public view, the 600 fields are visible ahead of the 500 fields, which are the notes that were added on a local level. You'll notice some of the notes just include location of these in the building, when the interview took place, how many photographs are available, areas of the items within this collection where they were from, some excerpts from different readings, and also some other legal paperwork. These were added as notes so that they could be visible to the public and see what is in this collection, which could be helpful for anybody that wants to use anything within this collection or might be researching the person that is discussed within this. Okay, here are 10 example records for this collection. We're going to go through these records pretty fast because there isn't going to be a whole lot of variation from one to the next because they were all from the same creator and they're all housed in the same collection. We do have a different title for each record, so each 2, 4, 5 field will be changed to reflect the title of each piece. We could use the 300 field to note the physical description of each item, but that information is not available to add to these records at this time. But this is the area where you could add the dimensions and other physical information for these pieces. However, you could go back and add this information later once it is available. For the records we are adding information, for the 100, all records have the same person listed here, and we will be using the 490 field on all the records will be the same because we will be noting where this collection belongs. We then have various 500 notes listed and many different subjects in the 600 fields. For the notes field, we could add many things like the condition of an item, the location. We could also put the condition if it's cracked or has any other imperfections, or note if it has been repaired. You can use this field to add other museums it has been shown in or awards it has received. You can also use this field however you want with information you think might be useful to the staff or the public. The 600 field here notes the artist and the year he is still alive, and the 650 field are mostly the same throughout the records with the same subjects throughout. We have New Mexico landscapes, they're all acrylic, they're all Southwest art. Most of these fields are local and they are not going to be verified, but more of subjects that will be used in-house to link these records together. For these two records, in addition to the title changes, we have another subject of traditions and folk tales on record 3. That is reflected in the 650 field. We also added sunset on the 4th record. These are things that are within the art pieces themselves that were noted as keywords or subjects. For record 5 and 6, we see a lot of the same information, other than the title, which again is in the 2, 4, 5 field. For the local notes and subjects, they are the same in both of these records. For records 7 and 8, again, more of the same here. Most of the record is the same other than the title, making it easy to create the records once you have a template that you want to use and have the relevant information in the appropriate fields. And on records 9 and 10, again, on these final two records, we see much of the same information from the previous, as we saw in the example of MARC and OPAC. We can use many of the local fields to note many things, and these basic records can include a lot of information if necessary. This presentation discussed the importance of data and how we use, store, and share it. Metadata is relevant in so many ways in our everyday lives, but especially in the library world. Metadata is used for all items in a library collection, as we saw in these examples using MARC standards. While MARC is an older standard, that is being updated with newer and more robust options. It is based on many standards and principles that are still being used. This discussion is useful to see how the information on a record is used both by the library but also in a public catalog. Even though many are moving away from MARC, there are still many ways it can be used and discussed in various metadata schemes. The use of this expanding metadata scheme has allowed us to move away from the old-style card catalogs, which were tedious and a lot of work. Now these digital records can be shared and used by many more people. The information is also easier for people to locate to see what a library or museum has in their collection. As we saw through the previous examples, that includes items that might not circulate but are housed in a special collection library or museum. MARC is an important method to understand because it was widely used and is effective even though there are many new ways for data organization that are available. MARC can be used for all of these various types of collections.